Welcome as we call to order the special call meeting this evening, September the 7th at 6 p.m. We'll all stand. We're going to have an opening prayer by Councilman Pace, and I'll lead us through the pledge.
Let's pray. Father, I want to thank you for this day. Thank you for allowing us to come together to meet, and ask that you would bless each one of us with the blessings that we stand in need of. Ask that you would be with this council as we discuss the business of the city, and ask that you would give us clarity and insight on the things that need to be decided on, and ask that you would bless us as we depart from this place, but never from your presence. In your name I pray forever. Amen.
Amen. Face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. We do have a quorum present here this evening. All legal notices were posted accordingly. And we're ready now for presentation by citizens and our staff. So I'm gonna start out. Come on up.
Before we get started, Council, Mayor, the North Marshall Street repair should begin as tomorrow morning or Thursday. So whatever district that's in, just to let you know. Okay. No. Ran out of ink. Thank you, Council, Mayor.
Quickly converted that one. Yeah, that's pretty good. You were prepared. Kurt must have briefed you up on that. Rusty, I think he made several hundred copies and passed them all around town.
Oh, on my side, too.
Tell your lovely wife that she missed the event.
Yes, it'll be on YouTube.
That's true. She can chime in. She can chime in. Okay. Anything else coming from council? We got all the flags put up on McNee Hill, with the help of Kurt's bunch and our bunch, and we got flags put up out here at Lake Forest. Flags are sponsored this year by Republic Services. We really appreciate that. They did a fine job doing that. They're going to sponsor us. They gave us enough money to last us 2 or 3 years, so we can get rolling here without having to ask for more money next year. So that project's well underway. We also, they're going to chime in and help us with the LED trees at Lake Forest. We'll use the same flagpole receptacles out there at Forest that we're using for the flags. So this is going to really work out good for us, putting those things up when the time comes. So y'all give some thanks out and handshakes to our Republic guys way back. Tell them y'all appreciate what they've done for the city, their ongoing support in the flag project. So, okay. Anything else? All right, with that being said, we will start with the council business, regular session. Item number 1, consideration and possible action upon Henderson Economic Development Corporation 2021-2022 budget. Okay, that budget has been presented. I'm sure y'all have a copy of that in your packet. If you have any questions, Mr. Clary is here. He can answer any of those.
I make a motion we approve.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor? Please raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Item number 1 stands approved. Thank you, John.
Thank y'all.
Item number 2 on the agenda. Consideration and possible action upon head coach's program of work. Okay. I think you probably got that also. Council packet that you had for a few days. We had plenty of time to look at it.
I'll move we accept the program of work. Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Item number 2 stands approved. Item number 3, we're going to open a second public hearing on the proposed 2021-2022 budget. That would be the same thing that we did last meeting, and all the items are the same. Nothing being changed. Any comments or questions from council? Okay. Do I hear a motion? Okay. All right. Close the public hearing. What I mean. Okay. All in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign. All right, we'll close this public hearing at this time. We'll open open a second public hearing on the proposed 2021-2022 tax rate. That's also exactly the same. It's just a formality that we're going through here to get this thing done. So any questions or comments on that? If not, I'd like to hear a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
All right. Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, all opposed, like sign. Okay. Close the public hearing on that. Item number 7, consideration and possible action on the City of Henderson's 2021-22 holiday schedule. Sharon, any additional information on that? It's on the board up here.
No, it's just the normal holidays and one.
Same as last year?
Yes.
Okay.
We didn't add it.
Make a motion we approve. Second.
Okay. All right. Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Item number 7 stands approved. Just a little note on that item number 7, that thing will. I had thought about seeing if we could adopt the county's holiday schedule, but they just wouldn't do it. The staff didn't want to do it. They didn't want to take that many holidays. So anyway, we had to kind of just shut that down. So I just thought I'd let y'all know. All right, let's move on to item number 8. Consideration and possible action on the first reading of an ordinance number 2021-0901, adopting the 2021-2022 budget. Okay?
Make a motion we approve. Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Like sign opposed. Okay, that's good. Item number 8 stands approved. Item number 9, consideration and possible action on the first reading of an ordinance 2021-0902, adopting the 2021-22 tax rate. Okay.
Make a motion we approve.
All right.
Second.
All right, motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Item number 9 stands approved. Item number 10 is consideration and possible action upon resolution 2021-0804 relating to city parks and property. Okay, Chief Taylor.
Mayor, Council, we're just wanting y'all to accept this resolution, which will enable peace officers here in the city to criminal trespass somebody who is breaking any sort of law, whether it's an ordinance or a higher misdemeanor or felony, from our public areas, which will enable the enjoyment of others in those areas.
All right, do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Item number 10 stands approved. Item number 11, is a little bit longer. Consideration and possible action upon approving a letter of intent for the preparation of an investment grade audit, an IGA. This IGA will detail the engineering, construction costs, and guaranteed energy savings and revenue enhancements associated with recommended energy and water efficiency improvements under an energy saving performance contract as defined by Local Government Code 302-001. Jay, you like to explain any of this?
All right, well, y'all go ahead and come on up. I'll let you introduce yourself. I don't have any formal introductions necessarily
Okay,
for me, so feel free to
Yeah.
jump right
I'm
in.
gonna use this so I can see where we are here and tell you where we need to go next, but I'm Karen from Performance Services. Jonathan's here with me. We have met with Jay and Randy on a couple of occasions and been working with them to pull together some information from the city of Henderson to look at possible energy savings and where we can find revenue through water efficiency and energy efficiency savings to help self-fund a water infrastructure improvement project. So we're going to kind of run through that today. And if you guys have questions, please stop us. And we want this to be a discussion and, answer any questions that you have as we go through. So.
And as we go to the next slide, we can go here and we can go to the next one too, actually. One of our more recent projects was the city of Jacksonville. And they were in the news quite a bit during the storm because they were able to utilize the technology that we included in their project to make some proactive decisions when the weather, I was going to say went south, but kind of went north because north is colder. But when we had the very inclement weather this past February, and their project with us was formed and established under the same legislation. And just like we're trying to identify for you guys is to see if we can identify inefficiencies to be the funding mechanism and deliver the same advanced technologies for the city of Henderson. So you guys would be in a position to make proactive decisions on a daily basis or in the case of an emergency. And I'm going to hand it back over to Karen real quick.
So a little bit about us. Our regional office is in Round Rock, Texas. We have our corporate office in Indiana. But I think the thing that I would point out here is we've been around for a while. We've done many, many projects. We've done several in Texas. Jacksonville's one of those that's close to you guys. And they're actually going to be awarded a top 50 in the world Smart City Award at the upcoming TML conference. So we're very excited about that. But 52% of our customers that we work with, and I think this has actually gone up just a little bit, they come back and do repeat business with us. Because we do what we say we're going to do, we make sure that we're giving you everything up front and we're working with you through the project, but then also we continue with you through the life of the system and make sure that every success that you see is because we're there with you and that, we're making sure that what we're putting in for your city is going to be successful through the life of the infrastructure. What you want to add to that?
I guess the only other thing I'll add right here is that we've done 400 plus projects. So any mistakes we may have made were done a long, long time ago. We perfected the art of delivering a project after we've identified a project. So I guess the trust factor should be fairly high that we've done a whole bunch of projects with public sector accounts. And we could dive into the next slide. I'll jump on this one if you don't mind.
Yeah.
One of the things that separates us from a lot of entities out there is the horsepower we have on the engineering side and on the project implementation side. The first 2 rows are all Texas-based. So we have a lot of engineering resources at our disposal, which is in turn to our client's disposal to help with the identification and development of a project. And then we have a very strong team to execute the project once we've been fortunate enough to be awarded our project with entities, hopefully with you guys as well. And the team at the very bottom, the measurement and verification team, is the most important team in my opinion, because as you were reading the agenda item, Mayor, you mentioned guaranteed energy savings performance contract. When we deliver projects, they come with a written guarantee. We have to substantiate that our projects will generate enough efficiency gains to fund the project, so the city of Henderson's not going out of pocket to fund these projects. And our measurement and verification team works with you guys on a quarterly basis to deliver an annual report to state that you have, in fact, received the savings, or just in case, maybe you didn't, and then we need to make you guys whole. So that's my favorite team within our company. And that's actually our building in Round Rock that we built ourselves. So we have some pretty cool abilities in-house to do some very unique projects. Next slide, please. This is, and click the button one more time. There we go, little visual. I like pictures. So this is the actual legislation, Local Government Code 302. And the pies provide a visual of how we utilize existing budgets to create these projects. So you can see the before the ESPC, Energy Savings Performance Contract, you have your water sewer revenues, operational costs, capital expenditures, and your utility costs. Our goal is to increase your efficiencies on your water and sewer revenues, decrease your operational, capital, and utility costs, and within that same size pie, put in a project cost there. So at bare minimum is budget neutral, but on many occasions, and we went through an in-depth pro forma, we're able to generate positive cash flow, a surplus for the city. Any questions on this slide
I
right
like that capital expenditure reduction. The training cost us more than any other department.
And you get clapped for, now you get.
That was quite the intro when you walked in, by the way. I've never received one
We
like
wanted to know
that.
how he did that. Yeah, we were like, how'd you do
But I've
that?
also never built a she shed, so.
That's a good one.
Next slide, please. So what we do in our preliminary, that's what we've done thus far, is we want to gather basic information to see if there is a potential project here. So we look at your water rates, what your potential water loss, what your water loss looks like, how we think we may be able to recoup some of that water loss. We look at your electricity spend, your biggest electricity spend is at your water treatment plant. We look at your capital expenditures, what you guys may have budgeted at these plants, and see how we can utilize legislation to make those improvements. So these are some of the things that we looked at during our preliminary assessment.
I just want to touch on the O&M savings there. A lot of times when we go in and we talk to Randy about this as well, and Jay's, when we look at operations and maintenance and savings there, we do not take into account that we will displace anybody from their position. We look at moving those resources to other needs within the city. So that's not factored in. We want to make sure that we are creating the best operational efficiency that we can, but we also know that there are needs within the city besides just going out and reading a water meter that need to be addressed. And so we take account for that and move those operational savings over to other jobs that need to be done within the city. So we looked at the meter breakdown, and this is like the number one priority for the city right now. There are other things that we'll look at, but this is just kind of a total breakdown just to give you an overview of some of the numbers that we looked at and kind of where your metering stands and what percentages are brought in by certain accounts. And as you see, your biggest revenue is from your residential, but also on your commercial, if you have older meters, those can lose revenue fairly quickly. So they have a lot of usage, and so we want to make sure that you're getting the best revenue from those as well. So some of the things that we looked at for energy conservation measurements, and again, we took the lead from Randy and Jay. Definitely, we will be looking at your water metering, but some of the other things that our engineers will do when they're on site is look at some of your potential energy saving areas. And we talked about wastewater treatment and water treatment being your biggest energy users. So we will look at some of the upgrades that we can do there to help save energy and fold that in with the water metering project. You want to take this one or?
Yeah, sure. Karen stated that the water meters and the AMI is the focus, and that was the focus for the city of Jacksonville too. So we would look to identify a project where you guys utilize solid state meters that have no moving parts. They read the lowest of the lows and the highest of the highs, so you can accurately register what's being produced. Integrate that into an AMI, advanced metering infrastructure system. So just like with the city of Jacksonville, you can have insight into your water utility at every account whenever you want. We look to implement true two-way communication systems. You can see the little cell phone up there in the corner. Our solutions empower your residents to have access to their accounts too, so they can have visibility into their usage and when they're using the most water, when they're not. Maybe look at ways to conserve water, identify leaks themselves. And most importantly, scaling is what I look to implement with any project, and that's so you don't have a one-trick pony, something that just reads meters. Your needs are going to grow. You need a system that can grow with your needs. And you hear about smart water meters all the time, but it's really evolving into smart water utilities. So metering is a component of that, but what if in the future you want to identify leaks throughout your distribution system and find those leaks when they happen versus when water's coming up from the ground or you're seeing your pressures drop, or maybe you want to tie something into your SCADA system. The list goes on, and that's what we look to do when we design and develop our scope of works.
Yeah, and with the smart infrastructure and smart metering, you help to build that customer trust as well, because you're going to be able to let someone know within 24 hours, maybe sooner, if they have a leak. And so instead of them waiting 30 days and then getting a high bill and being upset because they didn't know about it, you'll be able to proactively let your customers know what's going on too, or they'll be able to see it on the consumer portal. So it helps to build that customer transparency and trust within the community as well.
Well said. So we have a pro forma, but the lines were 20 this way and 25 this way. So it's really hard to see, but this is a condensed version. The overall financial benefits that we've been able to uncover with our preliminary assessment would be $9.9 million in financial benefits overall over the life cycle. And the life cycle is a 20-year life cycle. $3 million of that would be surplus. So that goes straight to your bottom line. That's additional funds that the city of Henderson wouldn't have without deploying such a project. The project would be 100% self-funded. We did look at funding this project with deferment of payments up front as well to allow you guys to recognize the full benefit of the project before any payments would have to be made to the loan. But once again, the financial benefits always have to be greater than the annual cost. And that's what the bar graphs represent at the bottom, where the red line of the annual cost never exceeds the blue line of the benefit, and the cumulative difference, as you can see, far outweighs what the cost would be. And this is what we were asking for this evening, is to get approval to do the investment grade audit so we can substantiate that we actually have a scope of work that will deliver results, as we're showing you here. And during that process, there's a required third-party review by an independent engineer from us in the city. So it's not only do we have our army of engineers that you saw, but the city has to have an independent firm review our investment grade audit, our study, to make sure that, I jokingly state, we can do math correctly. But it protects you guys and it protects us as well. Next slide, please. I won't go through all these because I refuse to read PowerPoints to people, but I will just say, single source accountability is huge. I always jokingly state you have one back to pat or one neck to choke. You know who it is. It's ours. So we're always going to be there with you in your corner. Our solutions are designed by licensed professional engineers here in Texas. And, experience matters. And the experience from our side, it's not just on the delivering of the project, but it's how we interact with you and your staff as we develop this, because it's not a performance services project. It's the City of Henderson and performance services project. We're going to do this together. And I think there's one more. Two more. Yeah, you got to touch 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is our process. So we've done the first part, preliminary utility audit. What we're asking for now is to do the investment grade audit, where we firmly define the scope of work, the conditions. We develop all of the utility baselines. We list out the scope of work. So it's almost a la carte. So you can see what we're doing for every scope of work, be it water meters, AMI, lighting, water, wastewater treatment plant work. You're able to see what each scope of work costs and what the return will be. That dives into the project economics. And then MMV, once again, is my favorite part of the process, because that's measurement and verification. So how are we going to measure and verify to ensure that you're going to achieve these results on an annual basis? And if we're fortunate enough to move to the next step and identify a great project, next will be implementation, and then the ongoing measurement and verification part of the process. But as of right now, one click. We're just asking to move forward with the investment grade audit. And I think one more slide. Thank you.
Any questions on that? I know we ran through it, and we hear it every day, so sometimes we go through things a little bit quickly, so. Nope. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Randy, anything to add? You afraid to come up with you? We've had some good conversations and some details. Like I said, they've done the preliminary side of this. So ultimately, this is just the next real commitment moving forward with this process. They feel very confident in where we are, and so this will just kind of prove that. The commitment ultimately is just the cost of what the next analysis is. If it, we're just committing to that. If things prove up like they believe it will, we believe it will, that cost, if we move on to projects, we just push into the full project itself. If it's something that's going to be, if we decide not to do it, it's still proven we decide not to do it, we'd be on the hook for the cost of the project that's in that letter there. And if for some reason something crazy and it does not prove it up, then
it's on us.
they get to keep that themselves. I find the good thing about this project, which would be almost identical to Jacksonville, and their project was so successful that we're almost the same numbers, you might say, sort of. So if Jacksonville could be that successful, I know we can. So, but we have to prove it up, and I realize that. I know we have to go through the process, but I'm sure we've needed this for a long time. So staff recommends. Yeah.
Yes.
We did. Tommy, you make the motion. Tommy made the motion. We got a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Item number 11 stands approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Okay, item number 12 on the agenda. Consideration and possible action upon amending the HEDCO bylaws.
Yeah, so ultimately, we've talked about the number of members that are on the HEDCO board. It's currently 5. It's been that way since its inception, I believe. And of course, we come last month to council and approved to go to the ballot for voters to look at a possible change from type A to type B. if that were to be changed, and voters wanted to do that, then there'd be a minimum of, there'd be a 7-member board is what the statute says, it'd be 7-member board. So ultimately, we, in talking about it, thought it'd probably be best to go ahead and move to a 7-member board anyway, a little more input. Whether we go to type B or whether we stay type A, I think for our size city, it makes sense and kind of what's going on, scope of projects. John and his group have been incredibly busy with the business part. It just makes sense at this time. So in order to amend the bylaws for HEDCO, ultimately it says that HEDCO has to recommend the change, and it comes back to council for the final decision. There's a meeting Thursday. HEDCO has a board meeting on Thursday in which this will be on the agenda for them. And then it'll come back to council next week officially for the approval. So what I would look for this council to do right now is ultimately just make a recommendation, approve a recommendation to move to a 7-member board and to change those bylaws to move from a 5 to a 7-member board. Recommendation tonight to go to HEDCO so they can recommend back to you on Tuesday. Just being proactive and making sure we're thinking all the same direction. I get that in a nutshell, John, something like that for you. So. Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Like sign opposed. Item number 12 stands approved. Thank you very much. Item number 13 is adjournment. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I move we go home.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay. Thank you very much. We'll adjourn.
What's the time?
Yeah, well, 6:30.
Oh,